says we're live. Excellent. Okay. Now this is just a test because the microphone is over there. Like I said, if you can hear me loud and clear, type hello or type I can hear you into the chat. If they can't hear me, I'm going to go over to the microphone and ask the same question. If you can hear me loud and clear. I forgot to mute my phone. I told you I have the chat going. There we go. Okay. If you can hear me loud and clear, tell me that you can hear me in the chat. And then we'll figure out how this goes. Because I think I may have muted. I can hear you. Hello, I can hear you. Okay, good. I got people going. Okay. This is going to be nuts. So check it out. I got a microphone. Are you all proud of me? Look. It's a Rock Band microphone. I'm so excited. I don't know. I want to see if they can hear me now. I mean, they can hear me now, so. Okay. Look, it said we have 4 in the chat. She loves it. There are 4 in the chat right now. I think there were upwards of like 7 in the chat at some point. I don't know. They'll hopefully be back or in and out or something like that. But we're going to be trying together. What does it mean when someone just types 4s? Okay. Literally, it's just he wrote 4. Yeah. Somebody help me out. Somebody translate for the man who doesn't understand pop culture today. I don't know. I hope they do. Anyway, where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. No clue. I am going to be attempting to teach a lesson today in the time that we have. I wanted to make sure that I set up the audio as best I could. Oh, he thought I said type 4. If we can hear you. Okay, that's fine. I know. Is that a numerical code for hello? Like I said, if you're in the live chat, you can actually see the thing. I know. But just make sure if you do end up accessing the audio, make sure like I did with my phone, make sure you mute it, and we'll get this thing going, Oh, it's going to be so crazy. Okay, so for the sake of argument, for those of you that are in the chat, I have my Elmo camera set up. Again, there's nothing I can do, unfortunately. You guys can't see it, but in the chat, in the screen, there's a giant like blur of light coming from the projector that they can't really see. So I'm going to try and do my best to work around that. I do have the Elmo camera set up at my desk, which is what I preferred. The reason why I have to have the Elmo camera at my desk is because the Elmo camera directs to the desktop, and the desktop connects directly to the projector. I couldn't get the Elmo camera connected to the laptop and get it to work in the same way. What a conundrum. Anyway, we'll figure this junk out. We'll figure it out together. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go get one thing, actually 2 things, and then we're going to get this lesson actually started. Okay. Oh, I better not like drink something like on camera. That would be silly. Oh, there we go. For those of you who follow my personal page, did you all see I beat Mario Sunshine yesterday?
I did.
You didn't? Oh, that's great.
What's that?
Mario Sunshine from GameCube, Nintendo GameCube. My son and I have been playing it all summer in installments. We've been live streaming it.
It's hard.
Well, we beat it. My son and I. Whatever. So y'all should, follow my live stream. Anyway, at some point, I'm going to, for those in the chat, I am going to ask for notebooks. For those of you who know me, obviously, you know the deal with notebooks. And what I ask of that, your notebook is your own personal thing. Your notebook is what you keep. But again, it is very encouraged and very strongly encouraged that you have like an organized notebook. One quick reminder, in terms of the Google Classroom, make sure that you have gotten that assignment done. A lot of you already have, but there is an assignment, and this is for you guys. I don't know if you heard in the Google Classroom, I had put in the assignment for the syllabus. There are specific directions for it. So just make sure that's taken care of. Are we using them right now? No, Destiny, no, not at the moment. I'm going to, as with all my lessons, I'm going to make the call at some point for those notebooks to be out. I am going to do a small intro, and we'll figure this out. Now, real quick, in the chat, because I need to make sure that my voice is good, I'm going to give you 3 positions for the microphone, and I need to know which one is the best. I need to know which one is the clearest, which one sounds like, I'm not screaming my head off or anything like that, but I just need to know which one is the best. So I'm going to give you 3 options, and in the chat, you're going to type in a 1, 2, or 3 for whichever option you like best. So this is option 1. Option 1, I'm trying to keep the microphone just below my chin. This is option 1. Option 2, I'm going to keep the microphone kind of hovering a little bit farther away from my chin. And option 3 is when I have the microphone kind of sitting in front of me, hoping that the microphone can pick up my voice. So for those of you in the chat, I need you to pick which one you believe sounds best. Does it sound best when I have it directly under my chin? That's number 1. Does it sound best when I have it a little bit farther away? Number 2. Or does it sound best when I have it a little bit farther away like that on the desk, hands-free? You type in a 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, you guys doesn't matter to you. You can hear me right now. So. Right. It says definitely not 3, 2 or 3, 1, 2, 1 or 2. Okay, so definitely not 3. They don't like 3. Okay, this is good. This is helpful. This is helpful because I have no idea how this is going to sound or anything like that. Excellent. This is going to be great. Can you hear that in the chat? You ever watch those ASMR videos?
No.
They're so creepy. They are so creepy. Anyway. Okay. You should see what they're saying in the chat. Okay, so again, I haven't officially actually begun any type of notes yet. I'll let you know. After I give the call for notes is when it's typically like, yes, write down what I write down. Like I said, he's had me before, so this is why I'm explaining it to you. If I say notebooks out and open, and I write something on that piece of paper underneath the Elmo, it is noteworthy. It is worthy to be written in your notes. The question is like, do we have to write this down? Well, keep in mind, if I write it down, yes. If I write it down, yes. If I verbalize it, that's completely your choice. Completely. Okay, cool. So I ask you guys in the class, and I ask you guys in the chat, what the heck is statistics? What in the heck actually is statistics? Now, I don't want you to give an answer because this is a rhetorical question, because I have an answer for you. The way that I typically answer what statistics is making confident statements using limited information. That is what statistics is, making confident statements using limited information. For example, we're in an election year. We are in an election year. I need to take a poll to see who people prefer to vote for, Biden or Trump. I don't care what your opinions are. I care what the polls say. Let's just say, for the example, there were, ready for this? There were 170 million people, roughly, who voted in the last election. No, 170? I'm sorry, it was 130. 130 million people. How many out of 130 million, how many do you think I need to poll out of 130 million in order to get an accurate poll for the news? I work for some news company. I need to poll people. How many do I need to poll in order to get an accurate poll for the news? Out of 130 million people, if on a number, like how many, like a total number?
Maybe like 90 million or something.
90 million out of the 130, like the vast majority. Any ideas? As long as it's randomized, you just need roughly 1,000. That's it. Roughly 1,000. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to think. Yes, definitely at least 100. I know she says that in the chat, but you only really need like 1,000. If I wanted to get an accurate poll of the opinion of Barnegat High School students, I would only, how many Barnegat High School students are there? 1,000, roughly? Yeah. In order to get an accurate poll, I only need to poll like 100, as long as it's randomized. As long as it's randomized. It sounds weird. It sounds really weird. It really depends on what your population is. For example, do you know what's happening right now in America 2020, where they poll every single person in America to figure out how many people there are in their household? Do you know what they call it? Every 10 years, America, and people in the chat, I'm going to ask you, do you know what they call it? There it is. She said it. It's a census. Every 10 years, they take a census. They count all the people in America. A census is typically a dumb idea. Typically a dumb idea. It costs too much money. It takes too much time. But they need to do a census every 10 years to count the people because it determines how much federal funding every state gets. It determines the electoral college and where the numbers shift. California right now has 55 electoral votes, but they're losing people. The next time they redo it, they might only have 54 or 53. It depends. It depends on the population. It's pretty crazy. A census, like I said, is typically a dumb idea, but sometimes it can be helpful. For example, my A-Day cohort 2 students, if I took both of your opinions, you can't see it, there's only 2 people in here. If I took both of your opinions, that would be a census. Easy. That's super easy. But if there were 1,000 people in here, that might be a little more difficult. It depends. It really does depend. I want you to think about something. Think about Lake Michigan. I've never been to Lake Michigan, but imagine the size of Lake Michigan. Imagine how many fish are in there, okay? The question that I ask to you, I say, hey, I'm going to pay you money to figure out this answer. I need to know, for some reason, because I'm an eccentric billionaire, I need to know, what is the average weight? What is the average weight of all the fish in Lake Michigan? You laugh, right? Because that's a ridiculous question. She says the room cannot safely fit 1,000 people. You can't just catch all the fish in Lake Michigan and then weigh them all individually. You can't drain the lake to make sure that you've gotten every last fish. So what do? If I wanted to know the average weight of all the fish in Lake Michigan, what do? But I'd have to catch all the fish first, which I can't do. That's impossible. What were you going to say? Yes, I can't guess. No. You catch a small randomized sample. And as long as you catch a small randomized sample, that limited information can help me make a confident statement about the average weight. No, I didn't say one fish. You said bad word. But not just one fish. I said a small randomized sample. A small sample might be like 25 fish, right? And I average that together. That limited information allows me to make a confident statement about the average weight of fish in the lake. That's what statistics is. Making confident statements using limited information. I want to give you one more visual kind of thing. Imagine soup. Imagine a big pot of soup. Hold on. Imagine you had a soup pot this big. Giant soup. You had a giant soup. Now, I throw in all the ingredients. I cook it. I mix them all together so it's randomized, right? Now, I need to know, does the soup taste good? Do I eat the entire pot of soup in order to determine whether or not the soup tastes good? Do I? Do I eat this entire pot of soup just to answer the question, does the soup taste good? What would you do instead? A small sample. Mind you, I said randomized, of course. That's the mixing part going on here. Everything is mixed together in that soup. Everything is randomized. A small bite should be representative of what the entire pot tastes like, as long as it's been stirred correctly. This is the importance of samples. You could take a bowl full. I mean, she said no, just a spoonful, but you could take a bowl if you wanted to, because it's a giant pot, you know. I love it. Statistics is so messed up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. I think since like March. I don't know if you've been waiting for it because you have no idea what's going to happen. You already have them out. But for those of you in the chat, if you don't already have them out, I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. And they went wild. They went wild. It was crazy. They're all jumping up and down. You can't see them right now. Okay, so for the sake of argument in terms of notes, I'm going to go over to my Elmo camera. But people in the chat, you still will be able to hear me via the microphone. And I will still be able to read what you say because I have the chat room open over here. Oh, she's just been waiting for me to say my famous catchphrase. Okay, let's see how this works. Because this is either going to work really well or this is going to be an utter disaster. And we'll see how it goes. Okay. I need like a microphone stand or something. That would be great. Okay. So for the sake of argument, today is the 8th. You can all see that. Now, again, in the chat, I do apologize. I do have a window set up here so that I can see exactly what you're seeing. I can see exactly what you're seeing. And again, that little weird ball of light. Again, I don't know if you guys can see this. Here, I'll show you guys this in the classroom. Can you see that ball of light right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know how to get rid of it.
Why is that white?
Oh, it's coming from the projector. Yeah, the projector is causing that ball of light.
There's not a light on the actual element, right?
No. The light would be here. Yeah, the light would be here. Where's the live chat? Come on, live chat. There's the live chat. Okay, good. So I can see exactly what the live chat is saying, and hopefully this will work. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. And now I got to adjust something. Here we go. Let's see if this works better. Aspect. See if that works better. Okay, it did not change a thing. What the heck, dude? Oh, here we go. Which one's best, would you say? That's honestly probably the best thing to do. What a silly thing that was. Just trying to change the aspect ratio. Okay. And I'm going to call this lesson randomness. Now, just for the sake of argument, I know you guys, I mentioned before about the Chromebooks, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to need the Chromebooks for you guys today. Correction to that. I am going to share 2 PDF files with you through Google Classroom at some point that you'll need to access. So just giving you the heads up. I'm going to share that probably live on the computer with you guys. You'll probably be able to see it, but it will be great. Okay, here we go. Randomness. Now, just a couple of recap statements for you guys that I would like you to write down. Randomness. I know, right? Randomness isn't what you think it is. Randomness is definitely not what you think it is. When people think randomness, they literally are like, nah, butterflies, you know? That's not randomness. That is not randomness, and you'll find out why. It's going to be great. I don't know. So first of all, confident statements from limited information. This is what statistics is about. It's about confident statements using limited information. Now, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Again, I apologize for you guys in the classroom. I'm trying to adjust this specifically for the kids in the chat so that they can see it a little bit better. Let's see here. Again, I'm trying to imagine that I am a student in the chat. I'm trying to see this a little bit better. Let's see here. Let's hope that works a little better. I hate technology.
Hmm.
Okay. Hopefully that works a little bit better. And again, if you guys in the chat have any questions about what I'm writing or need to see something, please let me know. All of my notes are going to be hard copied, so I will have a hard copy of the notes. Anyway, now this limited information. Limited info from samples, let's just call them, from samples. Now, I'm going to define samples in another lesson, but some people are already familiar with what the word sample actually is and means. A sample is something smaller than a population. A sample is a subset of a population, so to speak. Hopefully, yeah, you can kind of see that. Again, I hate that ball of light in the middle. Ugh. Anyway, samples don't need to be incredibly large as long as they are random, which is, again, the purpose of today. We're kind of focusing on the purpose of today, and it's learning about what randomness is all about. So I'm going to come back up here for a moment. Again, that ball of light's killing me. Anyway, question. I'm going to ask you this question. You ready? Okay. Randomly, mind you. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. Okay, hold on a second. Not you in the chat. All right. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. You can see that. Whatever. Yeah, they can see what I'm writing. Good. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. Randomly pick a number from 1 to 10. What were you going to say? No. You did not follow my directions. Nope. He did not follow my directions. You decided on your own that the second that you picked the 7, you were not going to pick it again. If I said randomly pick a number from 1 to 7, or from 1 to 10, isn't 7 still a viable number after you picked it? After you pick 7, you pick 3. And then subconsciously, you're like, well, I can't pick 7 or 3 again. That's not random. See, the idea is that if you were to pick random numbers from 1 to 10, logically, this could happen. The following could happen. Ready? I'm going to pick random numbers from 1 to 10. 4, 4, 4, 4. Technically, I've picked random numbers from 1 to 10. You'd be like, no, you're picking the same number. Could happen. It could happen. It's so nuts. Oh my gosh. Okay, you ready for this? Okay, I'm going to get it now. Unfortunately, I can't give you all graphing calculators because I have to turn them all into the library, except for one that I keep for myself. On your Chromebooks, hope we'll do this another day, but on your Chromebooks, there should be a TI-84 calculator app. Did you know that? Oh, it's going to be great. But you what? I know you do. I know you have a physical one. Yeah, absolutely, which gives you an advantage. But let me get a graphing calculator out and let me show you what I mean. I wish I made coffee today. While I was giving away free coffee to teachers.
So once you get it.
I have time. I want to make coffee in my classroom. Come on, calculator. Are all these calculators dead? I think all these calculators are dead, dude. I got one. Okay, good.
Did you ever come back after we left last year?
Yes, I did. I came back twice. I came back once to. Actually, no, I came back once. Hold on one second.
Excuse the interruption. Harsh, Panda, please report to the main lobby. Harsh, please report to the main lobby.
All right, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, and I'll give you the definition of what randomness is in a minute, but I wanted to show you this first. On the graphing calculator, there is an option for what they call randint, random integer, right? Random integer from 1 to 10. And if I were to do randint from 1 to 10, you can see, boom, it gives me a 10. I'll hit it again. It gives me a 10. Hit it again, gives me a 2. Hit it again, 6, 5, 8, 1, 4, another 10. That's randomness. But I kind of lied to you a little bit. You know why? Check this out. You ready? You ready? You ready for this? You ready for this crazy game that I'm about to show you? Watch. We're going to do it again. Randint from 1 to 10. You ready? 10, 10, 2, 6. What? Aren't these the same numbers? Aren't these the same numbers? Is this the same numbers? This is fake randomness. The reason why this happens.
Staged.
Kind of, on the calculator, yes. On the calculator, yes. It is staged. The reason why it's staged is because your calculator does something called pseudo randomness. Pseudo, it's called fake randomness. And I'm going to write that down in a little bit. I know, right? The reason why it happens is because the calculator, every time you reset the calculator, remember we reset it, second plus sign 712, whenever you reset the calculator, it resets the random number table that it picks from. It's nuts.
That's fake.
It's called pseudo randomness.
Oh,
You know how you get real randomness? It's a little difficult, but we're going to talk about some of the ways we can get real randomness with like dice and coins and stuff like that. But go to the computer here, and you all can see this. Oh no, I'm like zoomed in really a lot. Hold on. Let me zoom back out. I'm zoomed in to like 250.
Is this real randomness?
This is random.org. This is the most efficient style of randomness that you could get. This randomness is based on the atmospheric noise of the planet, which is constantly changing. It's changing every second, right? So I could, if I wanted to, go to integers, generate 100 random integers between 1 and 10, 5 columns. Sure. Remember how I would split you guys up into groups? This is how I would do it. Boom. Yeah. This is the closest thing we can get to pure randomness because random.org does not control the randomness like the graphing calculator does. This is based on atmospheric noise. Randomness is key.
What does that mean?
Atmospheric noise, like airplanes, people shouting up into the sky. I don't know. Just stuff like random stuff. There's always noise out there. It's like sine waves and junk like that. You know, it's really weird. Now, again, the importance of randomness. Why do we need randomness? Think about you taking a poll. You need to take a national poll of people's opinions of Biden versus Trump. So you go out and you poll 100 people all within Ocean County. What's the problem with polling people just in Ocean County? They all live in the same area. Did you know that Ocean County is very much a Republican county? Yeah, New Jersey is a Democratic state, but Ocean County is a Republican county. So if you polled just the people in Ocean County, that doesn't represent America. That just represents Ocean County. You would need to go out and actually pick random people across the country in order to get a national poll. It's really weird. Now think of it this way. You want to get people's opinions. Oh, she says, thank you for saying what atmospheric noise is. You want to get people's opinions of the food in the cafeteria. Okay? You want to get people's opinion of how the food is in the cafeteria. Is it good? Is it bad? What is it? So you go to the cafeteria and you randomly select people coming out of line and say, what's your opinion of the school cafeteria food? Is it good? Is it not good? Sorry, your sample is not good enough. You're only sampling people who are already buying and eating the food. They would buy and eat the food if they liked it. If they didn't like it, they'd probably bring their own lunch. And you wouldn't sample those people. You need a random sample in order to get accurate results. Think of the soup. Go back to the soup example. Let me go up here for the soup example because it's super fun to hold up the chair. And I want to show you the visual of that. So I'm talking about the soup example. Imagine this is the soup. I throw in the chicken stock. I throw in the meats. I throw in the potatoes. I throw in the carrots. I throw in the onions. I throw in the spices. I throw in everything that could possibly happen for the soup. Then I take a big old scoop and try to taste it. And it tastes horrible. Why did it taste horrible? It's not all mixed together. It's not randomized. If you don't randomize, then your sample is going to be completely messed up. You have to randomize. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so let's go back over here. Again, this is my, am I really zoomed in right there? Let me zoom out. Good. As long as they're at random. Okay. Here's your definition of randomness. Oh, bring it a little closer. Here's your definition of randomness. Wait, if I did this, would this creep people out? Does that creep people out? Just saying. Immediately she says yes. Okay. Randomness, by definition, is knowing the possible outcome, but not what it will be. I should include a word here. There it is. I missed a word here. Could be. I'll read it again. Randomness is knowing what the possible outcome could be. What it could be. Meaning, I asked you for a random number from 1 to 10, which means I'm asking for either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. That's what the outcome could be. But not what it will be. Not what it will be. The second that you said 7, you eliminated it. Meaning you knew that it would never be a 7, even though I did ask for a random number from 1 to 10. You know, which kind of eliminated the whole randomness thing. But yeah, this is what randomness is. I can talk about examples. Dice. Rolling dice would get you randomness. Rolling dice. Flipping a coin would get you randomness as long as it's a fair coin. Names in a hat. Now, there's a caveat to the names in the hat. You got to shake well. And I'm not even kidding you. That's actually like a statistical thing. I've seen it on a test before where they say, oh, yeah, you can write all the names on a piece of paper and then put them in a hat, but you have to shake well in order to randomize. You have to. So I'm going to put shake well. You have to. It's super funny. I talked about random.org. Random.org. Let me show you another example from random.org real quick. This is really cool. This is how I do random stuff for like, let's say, like fantasy football drafts, for example. I throw in all the names. So it's like, I'm going to make up names now, right? So Aaron, Ben, Chris, Diana, Elizabeth, Frank, George. So I just went alphabetically.
Just some common ass name.
Bad word again. Well, watch when I randomize. Chapow! Boom. Gives me a random list. It randomizes the names. It's such a cool feature.
Unbelievable.
I know, but then watch
He's
this.
probably gonna pick a kicker, too.
Watch it. I tried going Lamar Jackson in my draft, but then we have a keeper league, so dude kept him, so I got Patrick Mahomes.
He left.
I mean, neck and neck. Anyway, again, Diana again. But that can happen. That can happen. Again, it just uses the atmospheric noise. Boom, Elizabeth. You know, like, again, it's such a cool thing. Such a cool thing. Okay. Now, what I'm going to share with you in a moment, and I'm going to share this with you in Google Classroom. So for those of you on the chat, in a moment, I'm going to share something with you in Google Classroom. For those of you in the class, if you do have your Chromebooks, have them at the ready. Because the most important thing I'm going to show you today is a random number table. A random number table. It's an example of randomness. So if you would, please have those Chromebooks out at the ready. I'm about to share something with you in real time in Google Classroom. So let me share something. Add from Google Drive. Let's see, where are my files? My Drive, Prob stat. I'm actually gonna share with you two things. I'm gonna share with you two things. No, you know what? Yeah, I'll share with you two things. I'm debating whether or not I want to do the second thing. I always prepare more than I need. But let's see. I'm going to share with you. I can only select one. Whatever. Okay. Insert that. Oh, it did both. Cool. So PDF for 9/8 post. Chapow. In your Google Classroom, you should have two things now. Now, I want you guys to actually break out your Chromebooks. Yeah, break out your Chromebooks now. That's up to you. Can you get it on your phone?
Yeah.
Cool. That'll work too. Whatever you need. If you can get it. Keep in mind that the phones don't necessarily have as good a signal as the Chromebooks, mainly because I got a brick wall. You know, but whatever. Random number table. Boom. Look at that random number table. Look how amazing that is. Look at that random number table in all of its glory. Now, random number tables are not just made up by somebody sitting in a room and thinking up numbers. Random number tables are typically based on actual numbers in life. For example, think of pi. Pi is 3.1415926535, etc. It goes on forever. But
How many do you know?
roughly that. Yeah. Pi is a good example of a naturally occurring random number because within pi, it is entirely possible for the digits to repeat itself. It's possible. It absolutely is. And it does happen. We say 3.1415926535. Whatever. I don't care. I was trying to think of one that repeated. Eventually it does. But this is a good example of that. Now, right here, I actually gave you 7 pages worth of random numbers. Now, random numbers are good when we want to run a statistical simulation. No, that would be a bad idea. Now, here's what happens. Basically, if I wanted a group of students to run a statistical analysis using a random number table, perhaps I would go to the calculator, or I would go somewhere that gave me true random numbers, or maybe I take a dice and roll it, and I would get a page to start with and a group of numbers to start with. For example, I'd roll a die, and maybe it'd give me a 7. Maybe it's like the total of 7. I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up. But let's just say it gave me a 1. So just for the sake of simplicity, I roll a die and it gives me a 1. So I'm on page 1. And then I roll the die again. It gives me like a 6. So I got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got to go down to this one right here. So this is like the block of numbers that I start with. And then I can actually run with a statistical simulation using random numbers. It's just you have to start in a random spot, so to speak. It's so great. I love it. Do you know how they poll people for like presidential elections? Do you know how they poll people? And I'm asking you guys in the chat as well. How do they poll people? They have to pick people randomly. How though? How do they get them the surveys? That's voluntary response. Technically, it would be. We're going to talk probably in a week or two about bias, and voluntary response is a huge type of bias. Imagine that people are sent an email online to take a survey. The people who fill out the survey are the ones who have the strongest opinions. And the people who are like, who might still go out and vote, wouldn't send in the survey. Think about okay, here's an example. Let's say that there's a town-wide in Barnegat fitness test. They want to pick a random selection of students. Or not just students, I'm sorry, people in general, from the town, all over the town. They want a random selection. So they're like, okay, people will just randomly come and do the fitness test, right? Logically. I'm not showing up for that fitness test. Just being honest with you. I don't want to go. What type of people are they going to get to take this fitness test? Pretty much. Which means the results are completely messed up. That's voluntary response. Yeah. The most typical way that they poll people for presidential elections is by randomly generating phone numbers. They randomly generate phone numbers, and then they call those people. That's typically how they go about surveying people for a presidential election. It's unfortunate because you can be honest. You get a phone call that you don't already have saved in your phone. Do you answer it? Right? I don't. That's what I'm saying. It's a huge double-edged sword. The polls today are a bit messed up, to say the least, because we live in a day and age where we know exactly who's calling us. If this was 20 years ago, before you guys were born, if this was 20 years ago, caller ID doesn't exist. It doesn't. You just basically had to screen your calls. Did you ever hear that phrase, screen your calls? Screening your calls means that somebody calls the house line and you let it ring, you let it ring, you let it ring, and then it goes to the machine that records what they say in the message. Yeah, it's so funny. And that's how you would screen your calls. Such a weird thing. And then you basically get like somebody saying, hello, pick up. Okay, fine, I'll call back in 5 minutes. And then life was weird back then. Yeah, you guys don't have to deal with that stuff. Are you guys the generation that basically like from your earliest memory, you realized that like cell phones existed? Is that for maybe? Yeah. Because you guys are all like 17, 18 years old, right? So it's like your first memories come from like maybe 2005-ish, 2006-ish. Yeah. Well, the iPhone came out in 2007. Yeah. Good times. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. It's so weird. Okay, so now with this random number table again, I'm going to show you basically how it works. So like, for example, I'm trying to get to my next page of notes here. Here we go. If I were to, actually, can I zoom in? I'm going to zoom in right here. I'm going to zoom into the first page. Okay, it is not getting any bigger. Do you see that? Oh, that's so weird. Okay, if I go to this random number table, and of course you can see it on your phones or whatever, or your Chromebooks or whatever you have. If you're looking at this random number table, I'm looking at like the first set of numbers. Let's say that I wanted to pick a random number between 1 and 100. If I wanted to pick a random number between 1 and 100, I would have to be very consistent with how I pick numbers off of this random number table. If I'm picking the numbers from 1 to 100, I'm going to have to take 2 digits at a time. I have to be consistent. I can't go 1 digit and then I can't go 3 digits. I can't do that crap. I have to be very consistent with what I do. I got to do 2 digits at a time, which means, for example, 0-1 would represent 1. 0-2 would represent 2, etc. What would 100 be? I can't do 3 digits. What would it be? What would 100 be? What would translate to 100? So like, for example, again, like 0-7 would be 7. 15 would still be 15 clearly because it's 2 digits at a time. Yeah, I know. I was making the page bigger, not the document. Oh, the plus sign at the bottom. I gotcha. Anyway, what would you do for 100? Well, since you can't do 3 digits, 00. 2 digits at a time. It is entirely possible to get 00. In fact, I see a 00 right there. It is possible to do that kind of stuff. So let me actually take her suggestion and see if I can hit the plus sign at the bottom, because I don't know what I'm doing with this. Plus. Oh, it works. Look at that. It worked. So for example, if I'm going to take 2 digits at a time, and I'll show you the worksheet that we're going to use, I would get an 11. I would get a 16. I would get a 43. I would get a 63. I would get an 18. 75. Again, you got to do 2 digits. You get a 6. You get a 13. Those are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different examples of numbers that you could get. It is possible to get a 00, possible. And that, of course, would be 100 in this example. Oh, it's so amazing. So amazing. Again, you don't have to take 2 digits at a time. If I wanted to pick numbers from 1 to 10, like we talked about before, if I wanted to do numbers from 1 to 10, I could just simply do 1 digit at a time. Just let 10 equal 0. That's all you have to do. So I'd get a 1, a 1, a 1, a 6, a 4, a 3, a 6, a 3. Eventually, I'd get a 10. But that's how you could use the random number table. Like I said, there's actually this cartoon, this comic strip that I loved back in the day called Dilbert, where the guy's taking a tour of the office. And he walks into a room and he's like, "What's this?" It's like, "Oh, this is a random number generator room." And random number generator, and it's literally the guy standing there saying 4, 4, 4, 4. It's super funny. I laughed until I cried. I don't know. It happens often. Let's see here. See, the problem is with pressing the plus sign is I don't know what's 100% anymore. That's okay. Let's go back to this real quick. I want to set up a simulation. Let's see what we got here. I want to set up a simulation. Oh, yes. Anything I write down is noteworthy. Yeah. That's an amazing phrase I just said. Just saying. Noteworthy. Anything I say, well, shut up. Anyway, so simulation using random number table. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this using the other worksheet that I shared with you guys. Oh, the magnifying glass between the plus and the minus should. She said that. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I'm like reading you the chat like you don't. Anyway, setting up a random simulation using a number table, and this is going to be amazing. Now, here's the downfall for you guys. I actually just came to mind right now. In the past, in ProbStat, I would spend like the first a couple weeks. We'd set up randomness. We'd figure out how to take polls. But then we'd actually go out and conduct our own polls. We would actually go, I'd split you up into teams. We'd go from classroom to classroom, and we'd actually collect the data.
I remember people coming into
from last year.
It would be like, here's we have regular Coke, and then we have a Wolf brand Coke.
Exactly.
Which one tastes better?
Can't do that this year.
Yeah.
I'm very sad, because that was like one of the most helpful examples of probability and statistics. The fact that you'd actually go out and conduct these samples yourself. You'd go into the classroom, you'd randomly select students, you'd run through the procedures in order to make it as unbiased as possible. You'd collect the data, you'd come back, you'd organize the data into some graphical displays, and we'd do an analysis. It was amazing. Tears. You can't see it in the chat, but I'm crying into the microphone. It's my favorite thing to do because they hate it. Okay, let's see. Setting up a simulation using a random number table. First, assignment of numbers to outcomes. Assignment of numbers to outcomes. Now, like I said, I just did 2 basic examples of picking 2-digit, 1-digit numbers. But again, I'm going to show you in the other worksheet that we have how we're going to go about this. You need to assign a stopping point meaning you would conduct the simulation until you reached a certain result, not necessarily a number, but a certain outcome, which we'll talk about. You need to be able to identify the response variable. We're going to go into more details as to what a response variable is another time. But the long and short of it is that a response variable is just the outcome, the total number outcome that you're looking for, or how many trials. You'll see in the example that we're doing. You may have to conduct multiple trials, depending on what the problem is asking for. And then you have to make a suitable conclusion. Let me go back to the very first thing that I said. Here today. Statistics is making a confident statement with limited information. That conclusion is your confident statement. Unfortunately, people don't know how to make confident statements when it comes to statistics. People are like, well, statistically speaking, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, your argument holds no water. You have to be able to speak properly when it comes to statistics. We have to be able to formulate these proper conclusions in such a way where we are not making definitive statements. We are not taking hard stances. We have to leave room for wiggle room. The way that I teach my AP Stat kids is basically this. When it comes to conclusions, they're going to be a little fluffy. They're going to be. You'll see what I mean. So, ow! I just hurt myself real bad. I don't know if you can see that. It's real bad. It's throbbing right now, my knee. Anyway, the other document that I shared with you, the other PDF, let's go to that. Go to the other PDF that I shared with you. The one that says randomness practice. Let's go to the one that says randomness practice. Now, for those of you here, I'm going to have the worksheet up. You have a copy of it in your Google Classroom. What I'm going to ask for you at home, I want you guys all to do kind of the same thing. The answers that we do for this worksheet, I want you to put them into your notes. Okay? The answers that we do for this worksheet, I want you to put them into your notes. Identify what it is, because obviously I'm going to try and give as little paper to you as possible. Because I'm as little as possible. I had to give you something for homeroom, but I don't want to be like, here's a handout. I'm trying not to do that for obvious circumstances, But I want you to look at this problem, and I'm going to use Sky's suggestion and actually click the plus sign there to make it a little bit easier. So here's the problem that we have. A large manufacturer of batteries knows that historically 10% of its batteries come off the production line defective. The remaining 90% come off in working condition. Conduct a simulation to estimate how many batteries the company needs to pull off the production line in order to be sure of ending up with 10 working batteries. This is similar to our 1 to 10 example. Similar, except 10% of the numbers that we choose have to represent the defective batteries, and 90% of the numbers that we choose have to represent the good batteries in working condition. So again, I'm going to suggest for those of you in the chat, write this down into your notebooks, the answers that we're about to do, because you already have the PDF. Same thing with you guys. So here we go. Red marker. It says, describe how you'll use the random number table. That was a weird noise. Anyway, so we're going to now it says 10% of the battery. So I'm just going to say 0. Let 0 be defective. Let 1 to 9 be working. Now, in this instance, it's very obvious that I'm using one-digit numbers. There are going to be instances in where we have to use two-digit numbers. If it wasn't 10%, 90%, let's say it was 11%, 89%, that'd be silly. But if it was 11 to 89, we would have to use two-digit numbers. This is just the example that I got. What in the world's going on in the hallway?
Hurricane.
Oh, it is hurricane season. Yeah. All right. So we're letting 1 to 9 be working. So now we have the assignment. Now we have to figure out a stopping point. We have to figure out a stopping point. The stopping point is we will stop when we have 10 working batteries. You need to identify a stopping point. We're going to stop when we have 10 working batteries. We're going to go through this random number table, and we will stop when we have 10 working batteries. Now, we got to talk about a response variable. Conduct a simulation to estimate how many batteries they'll have to pull off the line. So, the response variable is how many batteries it took. How many batteries did it take to get 10 working batteries? The stopping point is when we actually have 10 working batteries, according to the problem. The response variable is how many batteries it actually took to get there. Now, we will conduct this multiple times and we'll make a conclusion in a little bit. I'll talk about the conclusion, but this is all we need right now for number 1. This is all we need. Identify what your numbers are going to be, stopping point, response variable, blah, blah, blah. Now, on the PDF, if you scroll down on the PDF to number 2, you will see that they provided you with 3 random number strings. And they want you to conduct 3 trials. Sometimes you only have to conduct as many as they tell you to. So you would literally go through it like this. Okay. So this is working. This is defective. Now, obviously, you can't copy this down. I don't want you to copy down all the numbers. You would actually have a string of numbers that you would work with. But this is the proper procedure that I would go through. So then I have 1 working, 2 working, 3 working, 4 working, 5 working, defective, 6 working, 7 working, 8 working, 9 working, 10 working. There we go. There's my stopping point. How many batteries did I go through? How many batteries did I have to go through in order to get 10 working?
No.
12. I just need to go through 12. So that is my response variable. My response variable is I had to go through 12 batteries in order to get 10 working. It's a weird process. You maybe have never used a random number table like this before, right? It's the first time you're ever seeing this. Yeah, I love it. Again, it'd probably work a lot faster. It'd be like, okay, working 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't have any zeros. 0 would be defective. So there's 10 right there. Oh, there's a defective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 working. Oh, it took me 13 though. It took me 13 batteries. So it's a really weird process. And again, we're going to get the practice with this.
Let's just pick 10 of them and just be like, yeah. So maybe this one will work. The other 8, 9 will work.
Maybe. It may or may not. See, the thing is, the company just needs to know, okay, how many batteries do we have to pull from the line in order to get 10 working? Let's run a simulation. It's not going to be 10 for 10 every time. We're not going to get 10. We might get 10 for 10, but there's no guarantee. We got 10 for 10 in the second trial. We did not get 10 for 10 in the other 2 trials. Now, the last thing is the suitable conclusion. Now, I am actually going to write my suitable conclusion into my notes, and this will be the last thing that I do today. The very last thing that I do today. Oh, she said never mind. I'm looking at the chat. So the suitable conclusion, we got a 12, we got a 10, we got a 13. Let me erase this stuff. I'm going to leave the numbers up here. A suitable conclusion for this. Bring this around. Here we go. Let me average those numbers together. If I were to average those numbers together, 12, 13, and 10, average them together. Here we go. So the example that we have is an average of 11.67. Here's the suitable conclusion. on average, it would take about 11.67 batteries to get 10 working ones. It appears you'd have to take at least 12 each time. Let me zoom in on that. And I'll read that one more time for you guys. On average, it will take about 11.67 batteries to get 10 working ones. That's the average that I took. It appears is that fluffy language that I'm talking about. I'm not taking a definitive stance. I'm not saying, hey, just take 12 every time. Just take 12 every, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it appears, again, fluffy language. You would have to take at least 12. Again, that fluffy language, at least meaning 12 or more each time. Such a weird thing. I love it so much. Now, for those of you here and those of you in the chat, I'm going to post later today on Google Classroom a discussion question. This discussion question is kind of going to be a little bit open-ended. I'm meaning it to be something where you guys just literally throw out ideas and then possibly critique each other's ideas. I'm going to go on and critique it too, based on the discussion. Now, keep in mind with the discussion, I don't want to say there's no wrong answer, because clearly somebody's just going to throw out something ridiculous, and that would be wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I am going to throw out a discussion question in regards to polling and sampling, just to kind of get your opinion on it. And I would like you to participate in that. And that will kind of be the extended thing for this week. Yeah. I don't know how Friday is going to work, because Friday, obviously, it's like this is the first lesson. Like, I'm going to be meeting with the virtual kids. Actually, I do know a little bit of how it's going to work. On Friday, I'm going to put out a Google Meet link. I'm going to put out a Google Meet link. I am going to record it, but I'm not going to like post it anywhere. Okay? So no one's going to be able to see your face. No one's going to hear your voice outside of the class, right? With the YouTube, like people, I got the link. I can see what. Google Meet on Friday. If you need the extra help, if you have questions, if you want to discuss the discussion thing, I think people got to check in. I don't know how it works. Did they tell you how Friday is going to work with checking in? No? All right. I'll be in contact.
Nobody told us
Nobody tells me anything. I just make it up as I go along. You kidding me? Anyway. But yeah, I'm going to put up the Google Meet and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm going to walk over here and act like I'm the host of a TV show. And make sure you join us next time. And remember to have your pets spayed and neutered. You ever watch Price is Right?